Welcome back, my lover of wisdom. I'm here in Greece on a beautiful island, and I just want to show you the sunset before we begin today's exercise. Let's have a beautiful look. So, how have you been? How are you spending your summer? I want to hear your experiences, and especially if you have any complaints or problems that you're dealing with, something that's frustrating you, something that is upsetting you lately. What would be your 3 largest complaints? What would they be? I'm very curious. Just write them in the comments below. So now I invite you to process one of these complaints so that there will be a before and an after. That means that in this session you will work through this complaint so that you feel better afterwards. Remember, my method helps to take people from fear to freedom. All right, that's the title of my book, From Fear to Freedom. And my whole method is really to help you make this transformation. Now, you might say, well, I don't have fear. This is just something I'm angry about. Well, again, back to my method. In my way of viewing the universe, everything can boil down to fear. Everything that has to do with anger, frustration, envy, anything that really angers you, you can reduce it to a fear. Okay, and my exercise is to help you to find and locate that fear so that you can slowly dissolve it, or recycle and repurpose that fear and find your passion. Find what that fear is trying to protect or suppress, you see. So that this way you can finally be free of that. And once you're free of that, the truth shall set you free. The truth shall set you free. This is a golden, law, golden principle. So once you uncover the truth, at least to yourself, at least admitting it to yourself, this will liberate your creative energy, your creative potential. And so you will find that new enthusiasm that you may be missing in your life. I don't know about you, but I've been through some pretty sluggish periods where I felt depleted of energy, I felt down, I felt demotivated. I just didn't know what it was. But once I uncovered and worked through my fear, I was able to liberate my energy, live more authentically. And with some strategy, it can all be aligned with your life. You don't have to radically change your life as I radically changed my life many years ago, as you know from my TED Talk. It doesn't have to be radical, okay? It could be progressive. You can have the strategy and, help your environment to acclimatize itself with the new you, the real you. Because, many of us are living a lie. They're living, according to other people's expectations. So you don't want that to be you. You want to be truthful and authentic with yourself. I always find that a lot of our misery comes from self-deception. So this is what this exercise is for. It's to help you to overcome the self-deception. While I'm speaking, I hope you've come down with the issue that you're going to work on during our session right here today. All right? And if you haven't, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to write it down, or in the comments below, what is the thing that is most frustrating to you? And and I'm just going to show you a little sunset while you're writing. Just take a comfortable position wherever you are. Take a comfortable position, and I want you to think of the most troubling, frustrating thought that you've been having lately. It's one of those thoughts that keep you up at night. It's one of those thoughts that are frustrating you lately, and it's just eating at you. It causes you anxiety. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this issue. You're really, it's something that bothers you. You know, everything might be okay in your life in general, but this is a persistent thought, okay? As I'm talking, I want you to just keep, thinking of what could be that thing that's frustrating you. Some of you know it already. Some of you are very well aware of it, but others, it might need some digging. For example, think of the last time you were upset or angry with someone or something. Think of the last time you were really pissed off and stressed. That might be a good way to start. Visit the scene. Visit the scene. If it's in the past tense, visit that exact scene. Where were you? Who were you with? Were you with anyone, or were you just alone in the middle of the night kind of thing, waking up from anxiety or stress? What was the time of day? What were you wearing? Just recall that event. What had happened? Had something previously ensued that triggered you off into a fit of anger, a fit of frustration? Maybe if you're an introvert, you experience some kind of pain or depression. If you're more of an extrovert, you were shouting, you were throwing things at someone, whatever, you were really upset and showing that anger. Now, if it's not an event in the past, but it's something that you keep thinking about, something you have anxiety about the future, go ahead and visualize what is that worst case scenario that's causing you anger. So I think you got the idea. Most of you should by now be recollecting the scene, imagining the scene in your mind, just picturing yourself in that scene. And you're telling yourself something. I mean, something is happening, and you are actually having an inner dialogue at that moment. And that inner dialogue, that inner narrative is what's causing you stress and anger. Okay, it's the thing you're telling yourself. As Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, said, it's not things that upset us, but our perspective of things, our view of things is what's causing us anger. So just go ahead and think about, what is it you're telling yourself right now? What is that sentence you keep repeating to yourself? It's kind of like your worst fear. You're telling yourself something like dramatic is going to happen, something very bad, or that you just can't take it anymore. Or what is that sentence of? What is that one or two sentences? It's like, this is going to happen, or he's like that, or she's like that. What's that thing that's really upsetting you? And now I want you to think, what is the result when you believe that that thing is true? What happens to you when you believe in your narrative? What happens? What is the psychosomatic symptoms? Do you feel drained of energy? I know from myself, when I believe in something that I'm telling myself, some sort of anxiety thought, it's usually causing me to deplete my energy. It's like a battery. It just empties out my battery. So just, reflect on that. What happens to you when you believe that that narrative is true? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pass this narrative through 3 filters based on the principles of Greek philosophy: ethos, pathos, and logos. I will lead you through it. Now let's think of the first filter. The first filter is ethos. The test of ethos is that thought you're having true? Okay, ethos is when you ask yourself whether the thought you're having is aligned with your truth. Is it a fact? Is it 100% true what you're telling yourself? Or are you perhaps dramatizing? Let's be honest with ourselves here. Are you generalizing? You're making a grand statement about this and that and how things are? Are you being too absolute? I mean, our ethos, we live with integrity and truth. Our ethos, we live with integrity and truth. Now that you've realized that that statement or that narrative is not as true as you first thought it was, or first were convinced yourself, you had convinced yourself that it was so true, now you're not so sure. So let's pass it through the second filter, the filter of pathos. Pathos has to do with your emotion, the feelings, the compassion, the empathy. And I want you to think about, is that statement or that narrative kind? Is it something that you are telling yourself that's kind? Or are you kind of bashing yourself, beating up on yourself? Is it kind towards the other person involved, you know? Sometimes we have mean judgments about others, we have absolute judgments about others, we put them in a box, and it's not really kind. It's not something you would like someone to do to you, right? You would like someone to have more understanding and compassion with you. So it only goes that you too should put yourself in the other person's shoes and maybe see that they are not as bad as you have set them out to be, or their intentions were not actually as bad. You have to understand that people do wrong things, they do mean things and stupid things out of fear. So perhaps you can connect with that other person's fear or your own fear, and therefore have more kind thoughts towards yourself and towards the others involved or the situation. Just soften it up, soften up your heart a bit and see, how can I have more kind thoughts? The third filter that you want to pass through your narrative is it useful? And this is the filter of logos. Logos is logic and reason. Okay, and you have to ask yourself, is repeating this inner narrative to myself, is it useful when you do that? Is it useful? Think about it. Not really. It's not really useful. I mean, maybe there's a grain of something that might help you, but it's not really something useful. Oh, hello, my dear friend, Blackpool. Bless you too. So you have to really think to yourself, is it true? Is it kind? And is it useful? And slowly you begin to see that this narrative you were telling yourself wasn't so true, wasn't so kind, and wasn't so useful. And this is something that you wouldn't accept from someone else to be telling you. But you are the one kind of abusing yourself. You're the one who's deceiving yourself. This is a kind of self-abuse where you kind of tyrannize yourself over and over again with this compulsive thought, this obsessive thought, and it just doesn't let you be peaceful. It doesn't let you be happy. Now, I want to just ask you, what would it take for you to give up that thought and replace it? I mean, who would you be without that thought? Let's think about this. Who would you be without that obsessive, compulsive, anxious thought? Who can you imagine yourself, the kind of person you would be? How would you walk into the room? How would you talk differently? How would your body posture be differently? How would you treat the other people involved? How would you treat the situation? in a more truthful, kind, and useful manner. Just imagine it for a minute. Who could you be without that thought, without that lie that you're telling yourself? And in most cases, you're going to see a whole different you, your best self, right? Your most confident self. Perhaps you want to imagine, how would one of those people you really admire, how would they handle that situation better? So we're saying, what if you didn't have that thought? Who could you be? And I want to ask you, could you give up that thought? Could you give up that inner narrative? What would it take for you to give up that narrative? Would you be able to do it in about 30 days' time? Because sometimes you don't want to let go, you're like, okay, I can work on it later. Or you want to work on it, you want to let go of that emotional baggage, and you're like, okay, I could let go of that in about a week's time. And some of you will be ready here and now to let go of that, that limiting narrative. Maybe you're one of those people. If you are one of those people, put in the comments below, I'm ready to let go now, IPICTETUS. I'm ready to give it up. I'm ready to stop tyrannizing myself with something that's not really true, it's not very kind, and it's not very useful. Ethos, pathos, logos. And if that's the case, if you're one of these people who are ready to give it up right here and now, go ahead and reformulate that inner narrative. Reformulate that narrative in a way that it's more kind, more truthful, and more useful. All you have to do is edit your thoughts. Just go over your thoughts. Yes, you can do that. Your thoughts are like a running computer program. You can enter in there and rewrite that code. You can rewrite that narrative. What would that new narrative look like? What would it be? How would that statement be so that it is more true, more kind, and more useful? Go ahead now. I'm giving you some time to reformulate, rewrite that inner narrative. Okay? Start with a statement like, I am more bold, more beautiful, more courageous. We're working here on editing our thoughts, reformulating our thoughts, being mindful of our thoughts. So what is that new statement of yours? What is that new inner narrative? Write it down if you like in the comments below. I always like when you participate. I don't like these things to be a monologue. Write down your new statement, your new power statement that's going to help you handle that difficult situation more truthfully, being honest with yourself, functioning from ethos and integrity. Okay, that's really the truth shall set you free. Okay, that is a very important statement. The truth shall set you free. How can you live with more truth? Being honest with yourself and with others. Okay? So I'm just giving you some time to rewrite that new narrative. I imagine that most of you are finished. And if you need any help, you're more than welcome to book a private Zoom call with me. And I can help you to formulate that statement through a one-to-one coaching session. So go right ahead and write that statement down. What is the new belief? Now, you might say, okay, I wrote it down, but I can't exactly practice it. I'm going to slip into my old pattern next time this irritating situation comes up. You don't have to. This is why I create the guided meditations. Each week I offer you a guided meditation, all right? You know that in the guided meditation, your brain reaches alpha mode, the very relaxed brain waves, the state in which your mind is open and receptive to instructions. In this guided meditation, you can choose any one of the ones that I've uploaded here on YouTube. You will notice at a certain point when you're deeply, deeply relaxed, it says to you, please repeat your deep affirmation mentally 3 times. All you have to do is recall this statement that you have just written. When you practice with the guided meditation, this new instruction, this new belief is going to go deeply into your subconscious and become part of your new behavior, your new habit. All right? Now experts say that it takes up to 66 days to form a new mental habit. If you practice with a guided meditation every day for 66 days, your mind will switch. Your mind is going to have that new program running. Is it that simple? Well, actually, yes it is. And frankly, I'm surprised why more people don't use this technology that we have. From neuro-coaching, we know that new neural connections can be created in the brain with creating these new habits of thinking. Okay? Your thoughts are just habits. You can create new habits by flexing your muscles, by training them every day through my guided meditations. So there you have it, just a small insight into my book, From Fear to Freedom, the 3 golden principles of Greek philosophy for self-leadership. That's right, self-leadership is what we're doing right now. We are taking hold of our thoughts. We are taking hold of our actions. Because frankly, this is the only thing you do control. This is what the Greek philosophers tell us in the exercise called the dichotomy. I guess my internet is a little wobbly right now. I want to thank you for tuning in to Algestis TV. I want to send you all my love and wish you the best summer possible. Get my book, From Fear to Freedom, on Amazon, and write your comments below, share this video with your friends, and become a member here on YouTube so that you can actually join the conversation and have more say about my videos. Lots of love from Greece.